as the coaching practice, it's been only one or two coaches at a time. And even in the last 6 months, we now have five coaches on staff to develop that thought leadership that reshapes how professionals think about their career strategy, but then to continually deliver that and the quality control that comes with that, right? We want to make sure we're expanding selectively, not just widely into
Mhm.
these, to continue to service our higher tier offering clients. We want to build something that's durable, respected, and elite, but also do it where we can affect more people, right? Like that's the name of this game. That's why we do it, is a lot of us are very mission based and service oriented. So the more people that we can help in the frame of our business, the more that we feel fulfilled.
Welcome to Career Coaching Secrets, the podcast where we talk with successful career coaches on how they built their success and the hard lessons they learned along the way. My name is Davis Nguyen, and I'm the founder of Purple Circle, where we help career coaches scale their business to $100,000 years, $100,000 months, and even $100,000 weeks. Before Purple Circle, I've grown several 7- and 8-figure career coaching businesses myself, and have been a consultant at 2 career coaching businesses that are doing over $100 million each. Whether you're an established coach or building your practice for the first time, you'll discover the secrets to elevating your coaching business.
Welcome to Career Coaching Secrets Podcast. I'm Kevin, and today we're joined by Brett Coakley. He is the executive career coach and founding manager of Close Cohen. Welcome to the show, Brett.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Kevin.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I'm very, very curious about is your origin story, the lore. And so I'm kind of curious, like what made you want to become a coach of all careers, and what made you tell me a story about how you became a founding manager?
Yeah, actually, truth be told, it sort of fell across my lap a bit. I was in a career break and I had spent the last 10 years being a leader in technology and a mentor in that space when a posting from Close Cohen Career Consulting came across my feed on LinkedIn of all places. And, it immediately resonated with me. That whole time I was a leader back in the day, I always preferred the term coach. I actually didn't like the term boss and would avoid manager whenever possible, because I sort of saw a lot of that servant leadership mentality in what I did and how I conveyed myself with all the direct reports I had. And frankly, over the years, I naturally always saw myself stepping inside career and outside of career into that role of advisor or strategist for whether it was friends, colleagues, mentees, and even other leaders around me. Coaching was sort of the place where my strengths really could come together, which was helping people think bigger, seeing the truth about their situation, and make deliberate moves that could change the arc of their career. I was always a big question asker. I always liked to dig deep, and a lot of topics weren't off base for me. I always wanted to dig in and understand the why and people's motivations. So eventually I realized, I'm at my best when I'm helping someone sort of step into who they're actually capable of becoming. So I became a coach because I kept seeing these exceptionally capable people limit their own trajectory. It didn't matter if it was a restaurant owner or a person in my peer group at work. And none of it was ever from a lack of talent, but was from sort of this lack of clarity or even a strategy and in my case, support. So I found that was the best place I could probably help.
And one of the interesting things is like with coaching, you can help. There's so many people to help. And how did you kind of discover like the type of people you help and all that?
Yeah, Close Cohen really, really wanted to work with these high achieving professionals, right? Directors, VPs, startup operators, senior technologists who are really ready to make the leap into a more strategic and influential and better aligned roles. So the way that I help with those transformations, I help them really achieve, it's actually deceptively simple, but it's pretty deep, right? Going from unclear to strategically directed, right? From under-recognized to highly visible, from overwhelmed to decisive and in control, from job seeker in a lot of cases, especially with the economy being what it is, to executive level presence and positioning to get that next role. So when they walk in feeling stuck, that's when we help. And then they walk out with clarity, confidence, and a roadmap designed to win.
I see. And one of the interesting things, because we focus on every single career coaching business, right? Or coaching business, they have marketing, right? And so I'm kind of curious, like, how do people typically find out about you and your services?
Yeah, a lot of our pipeline is from just the past presence that we've had. As I mentioned before the pod started, the presence of Close Cohen for the last decade has been around Seattle, around Amazon, Starbucks, T-Mobile, and those kind of organizations. Laura Close and Elisa Cohen, they've spent the last decade just getting the reputation for being dependable, getting results, being reliable. So a lot of the pipeline is referrals from other executives that have worked with us, past clients who have achieved major results. Outside of just sort of that word of mouth, our LinkedIn presence is meant to be sort of that middle of the funnel proof of expertise that I know that we're sort of exhibiting through whether it's new technologies, right? A lot of our conversation now is around AI and how it's fundamentally changing technology and the people that we coach, but also our coaching practices in general. And then me personally, my professional network, tied into the North Carolina MBA program as a current aspiring MBA and our community relationships, right? So a lot of what we do is geographically based. We want grassroots, be part of the community and continue to foster those relationships and help the people around us, whether it's founders, entrepreneurs, small business owners, or people in corporate world. So we go to speaking engagements and workshops. Mostly my big thing is I don't focus on volume, right? I will focus on that 5 to 10% of people that are truly ready to dig in and do the work.
And I'm kind of curious, like, what is generating more of your pipeline right now? Is it mostly the speaking engagements? Is it past referrals? Kind of curious here.
Yeah, I think it's the past referrals. Like we constantly see folks coming in and saying, I had someone work with you, or my wife, worked with the firm 2 years ago and she had great results. So it's that word of mouth, which is not only extremely valuable to us, but meaningful. It means that we've done our job and that we've been with folks and helped them through their journey and again, sort of gave them that confidence, not only the confidence to do what they are needing to do better, but the confidence to refer us to their loved ones, to their people within their firm. So it's probably predominantly that.
And so people are raising their hand. Like, I'm sure people are finding out about you through the speaking engagements, but it's more the past referrals, right? And so when someone is ready kind of to work with you, if they're part of that 5% that you were talking about before, walk me through what a coaching engagement kind of looks like. Is it mostly one-on-one? Do you guys do group coaching? What are some of the methodologies that you kind of focus on?
Yeah. One of the things I want to touch on, first is that we're hardwired to avoid things that are hard. Anything that feels difficult or uncertain or identity shifting, it's not a character flaw. It's sort of biology, right? Your brain is designed to conserve energy and avoid risk. And so when we meet people and they want to take sort of that first step, it's super critical that we have a one-on-one engagement to foster an environment of trust. It's a safe space for you to talk about the vulnerable things in your life. You don't have the confidence to take that next step after a layoff, or you're entering the late stage of your career and you're worried about ageism. The risk is sending that email, right? And having that hard conversation. So to answer your question, we do predominantly one-on-one work. It is, as we talk about scaling and doing, coaching as a benefit. We have engaged with firms, especially around Seattle. A small architecture firm reached out to us as they had people transitioning as a service to the folks that they were unfortunately having to part with, giving them guidance on what the next step could look like. And again, across the handful of people that we worked with in that firm, it was a very diverse degree of conversations we had, people going into, again, that last fifth of their career to people just starting.
Yeah. And it sounds like the work that you do is quite individualized. You're spending a lot of attention, especially if it's one-on-one and people are kind of talking about things that, are top of mind for them.
Well, we are looking to scale. One of the hardest parts is about continuing to evolve and be able to help people at that scale. More specifically, we want to continue to be able to create a repeatable coaching experience that consistently drive breakthrough results, or build that pipeline of world-class clients who continue to push themselves in the work. It's hard when you continue to grow as the coaching practice. It's been only one or two coaches at a time. And even in the last 6 months, we now have 5 coaches on staff to develop that thought leadership that reshapes how professionals think about their career strategy, but then to continually deliver that and the quality control that comes with that, right? We want to make sure we're expanding selectively, not just widely, into these, to continue to service our higher tier offering clients. We want to build something that's durable, respected, and elite, but also do it where we can affect more people, right? Like that's the name of this game. That's why we do it, is a lot of us are very mission-based and service-oriented. So the more people that we can help in the frame of our business, the more that we feel fulfilled.
And I guess, like, where do you kind of see, like, okay, I understand that you guys want to scale, but I guess where do you see this coaching business taking you in the next few years?
Yeah, you mentioned, whether we do one-on-one engagements, and we have touched on, coaching as a benefit through businesses, like getting a foothold in a company like, I'll just use Amazon because it's in the realm of Seattle. We actually had Amazon reach out to us and say, hey, we have 7 senior leaders that we want to give sort of this holistic training, sort of all at once, more of a program-based training. And we're just not equipped to do that quite yet because of scale. But that is what is on the plate for our next step, is to build up that vertical as well as continue to scale the one-on-one side of the business to be able to do it again, continue to do it repeatably with more coaches. Geographically, right, it would be amazing to be have a foothold on the East Coast in Austin and Chicago, to where whether it's a Google search or word of mouth, that we're the ones that folks are considering to talk to.
And as you reflect on your kind of like season of business, I guess, right? What are some kind of growing pains that you're kind of noticing right now? Anything kind of unexpected?
Yeah, these are just common scaling problems that aren't very, nuanced to just coaching. Like, how do you build a leverage product without lowering the standard, right? How do you create more capacity without compromising transformation? How do you, scale business without becoming generic? Like, one of the reasons why our clients keep coming back, and we do have tons of clients that work with us we have a career and candidacy advancement program. That's where if someone's looking for an internal promotion or to pivot careers, or they're in between roles, they come to us and we rebuild every aspect of their candidacy like a product, right? We're segmenting the market, we're driving up the willingness to pay for that product, and we're making sure that it resonates, right? Their branding, their targeting, their message. How do you do that with that much, specificity for each individual while trying to, again, help more people? You don't want it to be cookie cutter, right? And it's one of the things that we really do try to avoid, is that mass marketing coaching, right? We invest in the craft. We don't want to be hype. So we take in the information in general, right? We're listening to constant podcasts and reading books, and not just in the context of our own coaching business, but leadership, relationships, business. And these are all important topics to become holistically well-rounded at, so we can continue to provide that craft experience, but again, just on a larger scale.
You bring up a good point about like investing into like different podcasts, information, industry, and all that. So one of the things that I like to play a game with you, if you're open to it, Brett. It's through the lens of business investments. As you know, a lot of coaching businesses and entrepreneurs, we invest into things like training, marketing, team members, a lot of different things. The list goes infinite, right? I'm sure you've done a lot. And so what I'd like to do is just like prompt you a phrase, and you just tell me the first thing that comes to mind. If there's a story behind it, we'd love to hear about it. All right. First business investment you ever remember making?
That's a good one. I think it's in myself. At this point, as pseudo entrepreneur and founding manager, like, my own skill set is super critical in how I can help others. So the very first, and I've done it twice now, actually, I've been between roles for one reason or another. Early in my career, it was because I didn't like what I was doing, and I couldn't see myself doing manufacturing and operations, what I was doing, for the next 35 years to 40 years. So I invested in myself in training and certifications and continued education. And then in this most recent career pivot, my immediate thought was to go back to, like I did that last time, and invest in myself. So in a master's in business, right? I'm getting my MBA from UNC Keenan Flagler. And, frankly, I know it's not the capital that sort of folks would think about when investing in a business, but really for what we do, my education and my background and being able to holistically speak the languages of my clients is the best way I can invest in my business.
Last business investment you made?
I guess to go full circle, it was that MBA. It was sort of that was just over those. I'm in the program still. So outside of that, it's just constant little things. Continuing to invest in the health and wellness of myself, the ability to be educated outside of just that MBA program, that more traditional credentialing. So, we don't necessarily, our coaches have ICF and CEC certifications, but more than that, they have experience in the real world. So we constantly are purchasing and investing in books and most recently the AI tools that, are becoming way more prolific in everything that everybody does in the last couple of years. We're investing in those to drive efficiency on the administrative side of what we do. That way it allows us to continue to invest more and more percentage of our time into the craft and the artistry that comes into sort of helping people on a one-on-one level.
That was the last investment of the MBA and whatnot. It's the best business investment you made.
Frankly, yeah, the one I just mentioned about AI tools. Over the last year, we've been really looking into, let's just talk internal business to us, forecasting, coaching, hiring versus sales, the pipeline versus conversion rates, and taking all that data and analyzing it for such a small firm. It used to be really cumbersome. It would take a full-time employee that was outside of the coaching practice. And now as a coach and even a founding manager, I'm working on the operational side to be able to understand, do a lot of those things. Like I built with Claude a couple weeks ago, a forecasting tool that would be able to show marketing pulses and show expected rate of return on that and intake calls and conversion rates, and take all of those variables and say, do we have enough staff to be able to serve? Should we be hiring a new coach within the next 3 to 6 months to be able to support what we're expecting?
Okay, this one's a bit cheeky. Worst business investment that you kind of wish you got your money back from?
It is a hard one. I'm trying not to create a non-answer for you, because even if an investment's a bad investment, it's a learning experience, right? So let's just say whether it was a tool or a piece of hardware or, on the scale of what we do, like a laptop is an investment for your business, right? And it can be a big one. So even if it goes poorly, like I'll just use that analogy, a laptop breaks or you got this nice flip tablet feature and you don't use it, you learn that that's not the thing that you value anymore, or that you shouldn't value the next time you have an investment. So frankly, again, to go back to not meaning to be a non-answer, but I don't think there is a bad investment, right? And if it doesn't sink you, then you can learn from it and you pay dividends down the line from the lessons you've learned and the ways that you can drive efficiency in what you do later.
Last section, this is final advice, and I have this game that we play, overrated, underrated. So, kind of curious, like, I'm sure you've gotten a lot of advice to try and grow your practice. So what's the most overrated piece of business advice that you've gotten so far? And what's the most underrated?
I'll start with the underrated, right? I think that a lot of coaches want new funnels, new hacks, new tools, right? None of that replaces being exceptional in what you do, right? Focusing on the client. So the best advice I got was stop trying to appeal to everyone. Build for that top 10% who are ready to do that work, right? What came with that was the advice to learn how to ask sharper questions, right? Not give more information. So those two combined pieces of information, be willing to lean into those folks that are looking to do the work. And you're not meant to do the work. You're meant to help get more work out of them. Like they're looking for a thought leader partner. They're looking for a strategy partner. They're looking for a chief of staff in their corner. They're not looking for someone to do the work. They're looking for an advisor to, again, ask those sharper questions to be able to pull it out, because the impact scales when your work becomes, undeniable in that way.
Love it. Last question. How can people find you and connect with you?
Obviously, LinkedIn, Brett Coakley is there. You can find us, closecohen.com. So it's CLOSECOHEN.com. And that's where you'll find the ability to make a consult call or, have a 20-minute intake call with myself. But all of our information is online. So just Google, you'll find us through even the AI chatbots nowadays. We'll pull our name up. It's great.
That's the beautiful thing about AI. It's used as a search engine right now, and but what I've noticed, it's been driving a lot of traffic to people. Yeah. Well, again, thank you so much for coming on, Brett, and sharing your experience. Really appreciate you just coming on and just so freely sharing your experience here. So thank you.
I appreciate the opportunity.
That's it for this episode of Career Coaching Secrets. If you enjoyed this conversation, you can subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're listening to this episode to catch future episodes. This podcast was brought to you by Purple Circle, where we help career coaches scale their business to $100,000 years, $100,000 months, or even $100,000 weeks, all without burning out and making sure that you're making the impact and having the life that you want. To learn more about our community and how we can help you, visit joinpurplecircle.com.